Around the Ozarks in 5. Brought to you by the Butterfly Palace and Rainforest Adventure, Adventure Cave Tours, and Talking Rocks Cavern. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Foreheads.
Hey, good morning. It is Wednesday, midway through the week, and we have some news to tell you about.
All right. First off, another threat led to another school lockdown at another school on Tuesday. This time at Buffalo High School. A threatening letter found by law enforcement led to the concern. Police swept the school. They didn't find any danger, so that lockdown was lifted. This is the second threat to Dallas County schools in the last couple weeks. And of course, we reported on others of these. Various schools in the area have gone into lockdown because of threats in the last several weeks.
Yeah.
Terrifying. But fortunately, yes, nothing that they found.
I think what needs to start happening is somehow, and I know it ain't easy, but they got to start making some arrests that will deter others from doing this sort of thing. And I know it's very, very difficult to track down. In this case, it was a letter.
It's especially difficult if it is a phone call because you can spoof the number, but.
Right.
Yes. But you're right. Yeah. An arrest would be a deterrent because it would carry a stiff penalty.
Well, yeah.
So, all right. We now know the city of Springfield is dropping its effort through eminent domain to buy the Hotel of Terror haunted house, but negotiations continue for the city to buy the building as part of a project to revitalize the Jordan Valley Creek area. The city has already offered $500,000 to the property owner, but Sterling Mathis, said it would take $1.5 to $2 million for him to move. Mathis said he's willing to move, but says he's, quote, not willing to go bankrupt doing it.
Yeah. His argument is that he has to buy another building that's similar and then retrofit it into a haunted house. And doing so would be costly to him. So he would be willing to do it, but he doesn't want to go broke doing that for the city. So it'd be interesting to see if the city comes up in price, because the election, if it went to voters, that was going to, that was going to cost like $250,000. So,
well, $250,000 election is very different than $1.5 to $2 million for the property.
But what I'm thinking is that they were at 500. Now they're at 750 if you add in what would have been an election cost. So I don't know where they go from here, but they're getting closer.
By the way, that's more than I would have thought for an election cost. Is that right?
Well, at this point, it was going to be the only local thing on the ballot. Yeah, but that seems very expensive just to put on an election. It does, but I don't know what all costs go into it.
Right. Okay.
But it apparently nothing is cheap anymore, right?
Yeah.
Gas, eggs, nothing. The U.S. government just erased $42 billion of student debt for some teachers, firefighters, police officers, and nonprofit workers across the country. $42 billion worth was erased. It's part of the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. In Missouri, more than 13,000 people had their loans forgiven in the last year and a half, totaling $870 million. So if you're one of them, congratulations. If you're not.
Yeah. If you're not, that's a bummer, especially if you work in one of those professions. Because it wasn't everybody, it was some of them, so
right. Yeah.
Really stinks. But I mean, gosh, for the whole, from where that thing started to where it came, kudos to them.
Well, I'm pretty sure this existed even before. I'll have to check that for sure, but I think this program existed prior to all of the loan forgiveness business that we were hearing about.
Maybe. I'm not familiar if it did, but
I think it did.
Okay.
We'll check on that. Still no signatures on Missouri's new budget proposed by the two houses of the state legislature. Lawmakers approved it late last week. It is a record $51 billion for fiscal year starting July 1st. Among the big items the Springfield area can look forward to getting is $8 million. This seems like an insane amount of money as well. $8 million to renovate the Jefferson Avenue footbridge. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I wonder how many people will use that. I mean, maybe a bunch. I don't know. Also, I know it's historic, and $5 million for a new mental health facility in Springfield, targeted specifically for young people.
Yep. But awaiting the signature, so not yet.
Governor Parson to sign it, and he could, who knows what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He vetoed
Another bill awaiting Governor Parson's signature would be the largest tax cut passed by the Missouri legislature this year. People living on Social Security benefits or pension would get that tax cut. It would make all Social Security benefits exempt from income taxes, which I think is fantastic.
that seems to make sense.
I love it. Yeah. In addition, the first $6,000 of income from a public pension would also be tax-free.
Okay.
Yeah. I lived in Texas for long enough to not have the income tax, and it was pretty fantastic.
I agree. I lived in Nevada, same deal, and Florida.
Yeah.
No state income tax.
Yep.
Nice.
All right, now to this. A new draft recommendation from a federal task force says women should start getting mammograms every other year, starting at age 40. That's lower than the current recommendation, which apparently is age 50. Now, my doctor must be conservative because she recommended it at age 40. But I guess
is that a like every 2 years starting at age 40, or just a one-time thing at age 40?
No, every year. Every year.
Every
starting
single
at age
year?
40.
Because this is
Every
calling for
single
every
year.
other year.
No, I know, but that's why I thought the wording of this was interesting, because it acts like they are trying to catch it earlier, and it's actually less often than what, at least I go to Cox. I'm at Cox. I don't know. Anywho, I'm just reading the facts as they came down from the health people.
These recommendations are always very confusing because there's different entities that recommend different things. So nobody
Correct.
really knows what to do. There's not just one authority on it
Yes.
that is putting out the standard by which everyone follows.
This is
So
true
that is confusing.
in most cases, for all men, women's health, kids, pediatricians, Anyway, so this particular federal task force, that's what it is. Federal task force says that you should start getting mammograms at 40 every other year. Whereas previously they said starting at 50, unless you had a family history. So anywho, now they're trying to get the age lower, to try to catch more potential cases of cancer. And also, cancer deaths have been declining, but breast cancer remains the second leading cancer killer of U.S. women, behind lung cancer.
That's a little surprising to me, just because if there's one cancer that gets far and
Screened
away
for a lot. Yeah.
far and away the most attention, it's breast cancer.
Yeah. Susan
So
G. Komen Foundation.
yeah.
I know.
So I'm surprised that is still that high.
Yeah, I jumped rope for Susan G. Komen Foundation when I was in fourth grade or something. So
Yeah.
it's been around for a long time. So
awareness starts early.
yeah. All right, now to this other health related story. Vaccine requirements for COVID-19 are no longer. President Biden is lifting the federal mandates that he ordered for federal workers and for international air travel. It's based on the latest guidance from public health officials.
Okay. More movies could be coming to Missouri and be filmed here. A bill is waiting also for Governor Parsons' signature. A lot of stuff on his desk. Feels like my desk, although my signatures aren't nearly as important. It would give tax credits to film and entertainment businesses that work in Missouri to shoot the film. The state of Kansas is working on a similar bill that they're trying to pass there. So it's interesting. It's interesting to me. No state is taxed like California And the industry that made California, famous is bailing out as quickly as it can to go to other states that won't tax it as badly as California. So I find that funny that the businesses are all leaving California to shoot their videos elsewhere because of taxes, because California seems to love taxes.
Right.
So I say that's what they get. Stay there.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of different places now trying to be more front and center with shooting movies. I mean, apparently
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Missouri is jumping on the bandwagon. So,
Yeah, and no,
anyway,
I'm for that.
yeah,
It's just the California tax thing gets on my nerves.
yeah. Okay, a coffee truck is becoming a brick and mortar business in Springfield. That's exciting. If you've ever been to Trailer Perk Coffee, I have not.
I like the name. I like the
I like
name.
the name too. It's a good name, Trailer Perk
name.
Coffee. Get it? It was in a trailer. Now it's going to brick and mortar. Anyway, they are building a building right now on West Chestnut Expressway. It is the original site of the Red's Giant Hamburg on Route 66.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping to open this summer.
I'll be happy to go try it. Any more coffee shops, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I have finally started like price comparing at different coffee shops because I still drink I drink black coffee. Every once in a while, I'll drink something different, but for the most part, I'm a black coffee kind of girl. And I've started paying more attention to prices now because I'm like, no, if I can save 50 cents elsewhere, I sure will. Yes, there's a difference.
A major discrepancy? You don't have to say where or what.
I mean, not a major yeah, sort of major. 50 cents. That's kind of major. Isn't it?
I remember when a cup of coffee was 50 cents.
No, you don't.
Now it's the price difference between
Don't act
coffee
like you're
shops.
that old. I know you're older than me, but come on. You don't remember that.
I think I may remember that. Because back when I was a kid, coffee was just, you drank
Yeah.
whatever they had.
Right.
You drink work coffee.
Yeah.
Which is always the all-time worst.
I drank work coffee. You remember my hilarious story about work coffee at the station? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
It's worth.
You said it was terrible, and the guy who delivers it was standing there.
Well, so there was a man working on the machine, and so in my mind, I thought he was like a mechanic of sorts. He was working with the mechanical parts of the machine, and so there was zero part of me that felt like he could possibly be in charge of like the actual coffee part of it as well, since he was working on the mechanical stuff. And so I was completely kidding. And I just was walking through and I go, oh, hey, you know what? Nothing you can do to that machine will make that coffee taste good. Don't even worry about it. I was joking. And he
half joking because it's true. It was true.
It was true. Yes. But he was like, excuse me, ma'am, I'm so sorry. What's wrong with the coffee? What don't you like? And I was like, it's terrible. And then he like starts taking notes and he works, and fast forward 30 seconds. And I'm recognizing that he's actually in charge of the coffee and of the brewing and of the taste. And then I felt like a complete rude moron. So I was like, I'm so sorry. I was actually kidding. I mean, sort of, but not really. Like,
well, where I had the best work coffee ever was at I did something years ago now. I need to do something else over there just to go back and get some coffee. But AG Financial.
I actually knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that because they have a machine. The reason that it's the best is because it's like an individual cup machine. Yes.
It does everything. It's fantastic. Yeah. Have you been there?
That's funny because I've only ever done one story there in my entire 20-year career. And I also remember the coffee.
I was there to do voice stuff, actually. And the guy who brought me in was like, oh, hey, you got to get some coffee. And I was like, eh. And he said, no, seriously, look at this. And it was a machine that makes whatever you want, latte.
Yeah.
And it makes it good. It's good coffee.
That's hilarious.
I applied for 6 jobs there, and I know nothing about numbers or finances, so I didn't get any of them, but I really wanted that coffee.
That's funny that you have the same experience. All right. Well, that's all, folks. Anything else?
Nope. Storms. You want to check the weather real fast? We had storms last night, right?
Yeah.
And there's a chance of storms for the next few days. In fact, let's see. It's going to be warm with scattered storms today. 81, 70s tomorrow. A higher percentage chance of storms tomorrow. So that's your biggest day, and then maybe a good chance on Sunday as well. But 70s, high 70s, low 80s for your highs and lows. There you go.
All right.
Or your
Very good.
highs, not your lows.
Thank you. All right. Have a good one. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
See ya.